Welcome to CPAC Now, America UnCanceled. I'm Matt Schlapp, along with you-know-who.
Mercy Schlapp. It's great to be here, honey.
Good to be back in the studio.
I feel like we're all out of sorts because we did spend a little time with our family, and it was, I would say, like National Lampoon Vacation. It was such a disaster.
It was the vacation from hell, which we won't go into, but it's the only time we were actually kind of excited to come home.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's great to be home, although we are in the swamp, but we got to keep going, right? There's so much going on right now in Capitol Hill. And we want to report everything that we know that we're learning on our side. But we have two very special guests. I feel like it's the battle of the marriages. We've got us, and then we've got the Sorbos with us, joining us today on CPAC Now. Actor, director, and producer Kevin Sorbo, and Sam Sorbo, author of Words for Warriors. Both of you, thank you for joining us on CPAC Now.
Thanks for having us.
Good to be here, for sure. Good to see you again.
So I know you've been traveling a lot in the last couple of months. You mentioned, Kevin, that you were at a pro-life event here in Virginia, but you also had an incident that happened, I believe, in Los Angeles at a Starbucks. What happened?
That was a joke. All that was a joke. I don't even drink coffee. It was a joke just to make fun of the ridiculousness of what's going on in California. And I got attacked so much on that one. I thought it was hilarious. I said, boy, the liberals, they have zero sense of humor.
Well, it's because at the end of it, he says, I know. My first mistake was going into Starbucks. And I'll tell you something.
Yes.
I got suckered in because I read it. And I'm like, what's he doing in Starbucks? He never orders coffee. What? This is a whole new person. And then I realized, of course, it's a joke because he never goes in.
I like their coffee cake, but I don't make it a habit to go in if it's at the airport and there's not 50 people in line. So they're doing. I'm sure they're doing just fine making money.
They're essential.
I just do. My whole thing on Twitter is just pointing out the ridiculousness. It's just sarcasm, and I got to blame my older brothers that sort of embedded that into me growing up. So.
Well, I was going to say, I was going to chastise you for this, which is, why are you going and drinking that liberal coffee? I assiduously avoid Starbucks for all kinds of reasons, but I mostly avoid it because, unlike Chick-fil-A, they don't know how to work through a line. Like, it's like you're in that line, it just doesn't move, you just stay there, you know? What kind of time do these people have to order
It's
coffee?
the pace that liberals work at. They can't help themselves. Slow, stop, and dead. They have the same speeds that they do in the Bahamas.
Let me ask you this question. You think when these Starbucks drinkers go to work, first of all, as you know, they don't actually go to work because they're probably staying at home and zooming it in. But as I call it, zoom and doom, I think one of their excuses when they show up late is, oh, I had to get Starbucks. And everyone goes, oh, well, of course, that makes sense.
It's part of work. But, let's seriously talk about this. We're seeing a big shift happening right now. I would say a pretty predictable shift, which is that we're moving towards these mask mandates once again, and it's going to happen in our schools. It's going to happen in the businesses. I went to a local supermarket here in Virginia, and everybody was all masked up.
It's true.
What is going on? Like, when will this end? Is there an ending to this craziness? What are your thoughts on that? Kevin and Sam, let's get your opinion as well on this.
Well, some states have the pandemic, and then states like Florida and Texas don't have the pandemic. And so, seriously, it's a joke. I have on my website at samsorbo.com a downloaded version of the research that was conducted by the CDC, or at least it was on the CDC website, and it's been there for 10 years. The study as to the efficacy of cloth masks, and the research beyond a doubt says cloth masks are completely ineffective, 0.02% difference if you wear a cloth mask. And so I don't understand why they are not going with the science. But I do understand in our education system that they're not going with the science because the education system no longer adheres to science. They've turned science into their religion, in fact. And so I just tell Christians, you really shouldn't be sending your kids into the public school system because you're just teaching them to obey.
Well, they want to believe in science and doctors and all that. There's doctors that have come out and said, I read this 6 months ago, where they said the virus is so small that basically the mask you're wearing is like putting up a chain link fence and stopping mosquitoes from going through there. This is all about power. You know that. We know that. It's all about control over our lives. And you've got half the country that just buys into it, and they pray to Dr. Fauci, who's, the man behind the, pay no attention behind the man behind the curtain. It's crazy what we're doing to the world right now. And it just seems
I
like
agree.
you're doubling down on it.
You're firing me up here because it makes me crazy. And the thing on the mask that makes me the most crazy is that you can't read any study, or if you talk to the doctors a couple years ago, it was, look, if you put the mask on like a surgeon does, the surgeon isn't up in his mask. He's not touching it. He cleans those hands, and the only thing they do is touch the implements to do the operation. Hell, I watched MASH. I bet you did too. This isn't rocket science, but like, you must wear a mask, and then you must touch it every minute to take a peanut or a sip of your whatever, non-Starbucks coffee, and put it back out. So the hands that are touching everything are then touching your face and touching your mask. It is such a stupid charade. I can't believe we're back at it again.
Yep.
And then as airports, I say, please stay 6 feet apart. In the airports, they say, keep 6 feet apart as you're walking through. But you're about to get in the economy section. You're going to have a person right here,
Tagged in
one
like
there.
sardines.
Literally, I counted 29 people closer than 6 feet to me when I had to fly a shuttle the other day. I said, but when we stand up one row at a time, it's insanity what we're doing to the world. It drives me crazy.
Well, and it's insanity what we're doing to our children, because I think that there's, especially for the younger kids who have to wear a mask 6 to 8 hours a day at schools, the mere fact that, as we know, especially the little ones that really learn from even looking at the teacher, looking at their mouth, and they don't even have that opportunity to talk about these developmental delays, talk about the educational delays that we've had because of these stupid lockdowns. We were fortunate enough, at least in our Catholic school, that the girls were going to school 5 days a week in person. But let me tell you, we've seen massive amounts of students, especially minority and low-income students, that were not going to school. It was remote. And let me tell you something, for a kindergartner to be remote, it's a disaster. They learn nothing. And those teachers' unions, they should pay the price. It's so awful. Your thoughts on what they've done in terms of the students being not allowed to go to school in person? Now there's all this uncertainty. What's going to happen in the fall because of the Delta variant?
Yeah, so it's unfortunate. I find myself a little bit along with the teachers' unions in keeping the schools shut down, because there isn't much learning that happens in school anyway. But this idea of putting masks on children is child abuse. That's what it is, for a disease prevention that doesn't need to be prevented because it doesn't affect children. By and large, it has zero effect on the younger population. And so, let's leave aside the fact that there's no science involved in that, but this is child abuse. It's a terrible thing to do to children. And so really, you're better off keeping your children out of school and schooling them yourself. And to that end, I have a new TV show on Epoch TV, which is affiliated with the Epic Times, EPOCH. And I call it Schools Out with Sam Sorbo. And my goal is to educate people to rethink the way that they think about education. We no longer accomplish education in our school system. And you can attest to that because you know how strong socialism is now in a nation wherein we should be taught that the power resides with the people. But because we've allowed the governments to encroach and take over our education system, the government is teaching the people that the government is the answer, which equates to socialism.
I gotta jump back when I go through airports. When I see families go by with children with masks on, I just go child abuse, and I just keep walking.
I was going to say, Kevin, is it really hard to sit next to such a beautiful, smart woman? Just tell me, is it really hard for you?
I just paid her to stick with me all these 23 years of marriage now. And we met on the set of Hercules so many years ago. She played a princess. She loves telling that. But I broke her down. She said, I don't date actors, but I wore her down.
Well, there are only two bright conservatives in Hollywood. That's got to be a unique thing.
We're not in Hollywood, and they kicked me right out.
I meant Hollywood, Florida.
Florida.
They're the ones that scream for tolerance. But I mean, I'm a Christian and a conservative. That's like being a double leper in Hollywood, and they booted me out. Thank God for independent movies. I find it sad. I find it sad. They run the market on anger and hatred, and it's really sad.
They're practicing bigotry as they deride bigotry.
And they call us bigots. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly right. And I love this book that you have written, Words for Warriors. At church this weekend, we were out in the mountains of Virginia, which we escape to whenever we possibly can, and this parishioner got up and gave this amazing short talk about how we have to raise a generation of warriors to combat this toxic culture that we're giving our kids. We're giving our kids this terrible culture to grow up in. Why'd you write this book, and why do you use the word warrior?
Well, because it's a battle, and we ought to recognize that it's a spiritual battle. And the reason that I say that is because in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And yet they are taking our words and changing their meanings. You probably don't know this, but the definition of proficient for the school system is now something like a 38% on a test score. That counts as proficient. Well, does that count as proficient to you? No. Proficient would be like 85% or higher, like a B. But
But tell them how you came up with the title. The opposite of
well,
what book?
So Words for Warriors is a reflection of Rules for Radicals. Yeah. This book is dedicated to the Word. Rules for Radicals is dedicated to the devil. And it just goes through all of the different words. So fascism is now right wing. There's nothing right wing about fascism.
No.
And so I just go through and by the way, it has a lot of humor in it because I'm fairly sarcastic. So I had a lot of fun with the definitions. I think at the end of one of them I wrote, duh, because
I thought Kevin was a sarcastic one, but this is good to know. You share this in common. I know. But one of the words, you go through a series of words, it's all put in alphabetical order, is abortion. The abortion online definition is the deliberate termination of a human pregnancy, most often performed during the first 28 weeks of pregnancy. This deals with abortion and euthanasia. You go and literally put the synonyms, I can't speak English today, synonyms: murder, infanticide, child sacrifice.
Well, it is child sacrifice. I mean, think about it. So many young girls are convinced that they have to have a baby because they won't be able to support it. Well, what does that mean? It means that they won't have enough money for themselves. And that's really sacrificing a child so that they will have more money. That's child sacrifice. And look, I understand that people have been bamboozled by a system that takes words, changes their meanings, or obfuscates their meanings, right? And so now we don't call it murder, even though that's what it is. It is a human baby. Sure. If it weren't, then there wouldn't be any reason to kill it.
I do a lot of pro-life speaking events. When I say my body, my choice, what they say, it's not your body. If it was your body, you'd be dead. It's as simple as that. My body, my choice. The only place that applies on two things right now. If you want to wear a mask, if you want to take the vaccine, it's your choice.
That's exactly right. We should use their words against them because they don't believe in any kind of personal autonomy. And I also think one of this question about definitions and words is really important because they bastardize these definitions for important words. Like you said, fascism, and I completely agree. We got to take these words back. And I remember, we're watching TV. We were always the party of blue on the Republican side. Somebody in New York City decides, no, you're the party of red. Well, the party of red is the party of communism. How did we get to be red? And they're not liberal. They stole the word liberal. Liberal was us. We were the classical liberals. They stole it. They became the liberals. They ruined the word, by the way, with these terrible policies. Now they're the most intolerant people in the whole world. So we're going to be the liberals. We just got to start taking all these things back.
Well, we do. And that's why I encourage people, just speak the truth. Just stand up for the truth. And so when somebody says to you, for instance, a man transgendering into a woman, that's scientifically not possible. So you're not a woman. I'm sorry that you feel that way, and I won't lie. Because when they get us to lie, then we're compromised. And so, and all we have is our integrity, really, when it comes down to it. So I just want to encourage people, stand for the truth. That's why I wrote the book, Words for Warriors, is to expose people to the truth so they can look up the word and see, oh, that's what it's supposed to mean. No, I won't use it in the other way and lie. They tell us that education is happening in our schools. It's not.
That's right.
It's schooling. That's completely different.
But what you said earlier, I say it all the time. We used to be the blue states.
Right.
And if you go to the Reagan Library, they got a map. He won 49 states in his second term. The only state Mondale won was my home state of Minnesota. He only won it by 4 percentage points. Somewhere along the line, they switched it because they didn't want to be associated with that red color
on the
that was so associated with Russia during their communist years.
All right, well,
the same thing happened with Thomas Jefferson, right? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say we have like this holy contract that we're engaging in right here. Like we're affecting it. We are going to take these words back, and the way people can get started on that is to buy this book. And start to push
if you
back.
don't want to go to Amazon, you can go to samsorbo.com.
Even better.
Oh, definitely go to samsorbo.com.
Go to sorbos.org as well, sorbos.org. We put both our sites together, a lot of information on there. I just finished the Ronald Reagan movie. Dennis Quaid plays Reagan. I play his pastor. That'll be out in theaters in the spring. And I'm heading up to Canada. I'm directing the next Left Behind movie. So we're doing good movies.
Excellent.
That's awesome. Well, we want a cameo in one of these days.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Matt wants to be an actor, but that's a totally different
Hey, I'm doing a Western in New Mexico. Come on down. We'll put some cowboy boots on.
I can do it. I can actually even ride a horse. So we love what you're doing, Kevin and Sam Sorbo. Thanks for being with us at CPAC in Orlando. Thanks for being on the show. Let's keep battling to save America, and thanks for joining us.
Look forward to seeing you guys soon.
And thank you all for watching another episode of CPAC Now, America Uncanceled. It's great to be back with you in the studio. We have a lot of great shows coming. We're not going to talk about them because they're just too much. It'd be too much for you to hear about right now, but we got some spectacular stuff coming up. And look, the country's really, the good news is people are really waking up to what the socialist policies that are coming out of D.C. And we got a real chance to take back the country. But we need each and every one of you. So thanks for all you're doing. God bless. And we'll see you again soon.